Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Amy from Tuition Up. I'm a teacher and I teach live online lessons, group lessons, one-to-one to children all over the world. Today we are going to look at inference and learn about what inference is and why it's important that we should be able to infer. Inference is the process of drawing some kind of conclusion from our reasoning and evidence that we have in the picture. There are two key words that we need to think about here. The first one is observation and the second one is inference. So if we take this image to help us and we think about the first word, observation. Observation is all about noticing, using our senses, all of our senses, to see and notice and hear and everything. So let's have a go of looking at this picture and I just want you to observe and notice a few things. We can see that there is a broken branch. That is our observation. We may be able to infer that this boy climbed the tree and fell into the water. Another observation would be that there's a sailboat here and a goat standing close to the water. Another inference that we could draw upon would be that the boy was maybe floating the sailboat and the goat came along and butted him into the water. It's important here that we state that inferences are not definitely going to be true. We don't know that they're definitely factually true. They are just our conclusion that we've come to from the evidence that has been presented. This is something that I've used a lot in the virtual classroom, also in the real classroom. I want you to have a little look at this picture, so you can pause the video in a minute and I just want you to notice things. What have you been able to infer? What conclusions have you been able to come to based on the observations and the evidence that you see before you? Pop your answers in the comments because I'd love to read them. In Year 6, children take their SAT tests, and this is probably the first formal testing that they've done, and they have to really draw upon their inference skills, especially for these kind of longer questions that we have at the end of the SATs paper. So we have to here explain fully with reasoning in our answers. Now you notice here that this kind of question is for 3 marks, and we have a specific kind of way of answering this. I like to call it P. It's quite famous. And I always explain to the children that they have to P on their answer. So now we have to start thinking about inferences in words rather than in pictures. And we're going to have a little look at some now, and we're going to use this P structure to formulate an answer. Okay, so the P is you make your point, you give evidence for your point, which is your opinion, and then you explain your answer. And we're going to structure it like this. I think that. I know this because in the text it says, that's the quote, and then this shows that. That's going to be the expansion of the answer. So we'll read this first, and I want you to look carefully behind the words. Think about the word choice that the author has used. What is this telling us about what's going on? At least the intertwining canopy did provide welcome relief from the heat of the day. All the same, I was becoming desperately parched now, and so was Stella. She padded alongside me all the way, her tongue hanging. She kept giving me baleful looks whenever our eyes met. There was no comfort I could give her. So some of you might recognise that. That is from Kensuke's Kingdom by Michael Morpurgo. Okay, so what can we infer from this then? What is the word choice that's been used? So we've got this canopy here. Canopy is a very specific word. It's used for that kind of top layer of the rainforest. Intertwining would be kind of like the vines and the branches and the leaves all kind of mixing into one another, as it does to form the kind of roof area of the rainforest. So it's providing a welcome relief from the heat of the day. All the same, I was becoming desperately parched now. So this word parched would imply that the person is thirsty. And so was Stella. She padded alongside me all the way, her tongue hanging. Okay, so we're not really sure what Stella is or who Stella is, but she's padding and her tongue is hanging. So we could possibly infer here that she's some kind of animal. What animal has their tongue hanging out? Well, when they're thirsty, because they're walking around in the heat of the day in a rainforest, a dog would pant, wouldn't it? She kept giving me baleful looks whenever our eyes met, and dogs do look at their owners. Okay, so let's think about this then. What could we say? I think that the character and his or her companion are thirsty. I know this because, so this is me giving my evidence now, and I'm quoting directly from the text. I know this because in the text it says parched and tongue hanging. This shows that the character has a dry mouth and that the dog may be panting, or the companion may be panting, relative clause, which is what dogs do when they are hot and thirsty. So clearly here I've got kind of three parts to this, which forms my P. I made my point, I gave my opinion. My opinion is I think they're thirsty. The reason why I've come to that conclusion is I observed the word parched and I observed the word tongue hanging, which I infer to mean that they have a dry mouth, that they are panting, therefore they are thirsty. So it all leads round and backs up my opinion. That is inference, and that is a good way to answer a longer question in the SATs paper, in GCSEs, this kind of thing. Inference is something that comes naturally to many of us when we read. A lot of us would infer, a lot of us infer kind of details in life, but it doesn't always come naturally to lots of children. We have to actively teach them to be able to infer, to be able to better their answers and better their understanding of text. I'm going to leave it on this one for you. If you would like to have a go, you can pause the video and structure your answer with the P strategy here. I think that. I know this because, and this shows that. Have a go of writing it out. You can type it out in the comments and I'll have a read. If you learned something from the video today, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you're interested in joining online lessons, I have all the information in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.